Hey everyone, my name is WyrmsEye and I welcome you back to another episode of the Battle Spot Factory, our VGC Battle Spot series. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday going on today, and I hope all you guys enjoyed participating in the International Challenge this past weekend. I know there was a lot of interest from various parties across the globe and some really good results that I've seen on Twitter, on social media in general have come through. So will be interesting to see when the results come out, how everyone has done. The results shouldn't be coming out for another couple of days yet, so we will have to hang tight just for a few more days. But I did record every game that I participated in the International Challenge this weekend. I'm hoping to release those over the course of the next few days. I don't know when exactly I'm going to be starting because I need to do some editing work on quite a few of them. I wasn't able to commentate properly the whole amount of games just because of the time of day that I was playing and obviously not wanting to disturb the folks. And I don't really want to give too much away as to how I did during the International Challenge or even what team, but you'll be seeing those soon enough. On top of that, we've also had the Danish Open, a special event that was held over in Denmark, and congratulations to Baris Akos for winning that event. It's 130 CP to his already very substantial tally of championship points. I think that now puts him in 4th or 3rd place on the European standings, so congratulations to him. He's now back in the driving seat for a paid invite to Indianapolis coming up in July. And there are also going to be other tournaments coming up in the near future. I believe there's the Venice Open that's taking place this coming weekend, so that will be something to look out for. I do know that there are a number of players that are going to be taking part in that, and good luck to them in the coming weekend. But we've also got another international challenge that has also been revealed just literally today, which will be coming up sometime in May. So very short turnaround for international challenges. It's not very often that we have back-to-back challenges happen in consecutive months, so keeping up the pace. Obviously a lot of battles going to be done by trainers over the few coming weeks, and there are also going to be more megastones on offer for that international challenge, so will be worth joining that just for the megastones if you're more of a casual persuasion. But obviously those who are in it to win it will be after those championship points. So without further ado, let's jump onto the ladder, and obviously you can see the team that's just down below that way of Snorlax, Celesteela, Tapu Lele, Drifblim, Garchomp and Arcanine. So we are using a Tapu Lele and Drifblim core, but the team is the one that good friend Lee Provost Osiris features on his channel, the School of Hard Knocks, on YouTube a couple of weeks ago. I was really interested in the team itself, and I haven't actually played Lele Drifblim at all this season, so it was something really different for me to try out, and I've been really enjoying it. So huge shout out to Lee for actually providing the spreads for these Pokemon. The only one that I've changed is a Garchomp spread that I'm more comfortable with at the moment, but he also was able to provide me with a couple of the Pokemon that I wasn't able to get very easily. The Celesteela and the Snorlax in particular were a couple of the big ones that I needed at the time, so huge thanks to him for actually allowing me to do this. But without further ado, let's jump onto the ladder. Enough waffling on, and let's see if we can find some opponents today and get some good wins under our belt. So we're going to be starting with a rating of 1633. So we did lose a bit in our little gravity hypnosis spell, but I'm hoping that with this team, I've played a few games with it offline, and it's very much a comfort team to work with. So I'm actually looking really forward to jumping onto this ladder as we find a Japanese opponent with a rating of 1565 to start off today. A team of Togedemaru, Milotic, Arcanine, Mandibuzz, Celesteela and Kartana. So one of the things that really sticks out for me here is the Milotic along with the double steals in the Celesteela and Kartana. Now this sort of grouping here does make it rather difficult for Arcanine to really shine properly. Because with competitive on my low tick, it means that the steel types aren't as threatened straight away as, say, it would be preferable. We also have the Mandibuzz there, so we can expect some tailwind pressure from my opponent. Not sure quite what the Mandibuzz will be holding in terms of an item, but we'll get to that as we see fit. So we're going to have to sort of play around this Milotic very carefully, and the Togedemaru is also something that we're going to have to be very wary of, because Fake Out Pressure, it should have access to Encore as well, which will be something that could be a huge disruptive problem for us. But I don't see any reason why we can't lead Drifblim and Tapu Lele. At the very least, Drifblim will get the Tailwind up, and if he leads with Mandibuzz, we should be alright to at least lead something else. I'm going to need Arcanine for the Celesteela and Kartana, and I think in the back I'm going to need Garchomp as well. So we just lock in time there, but we don't see that our opponent locks in, so we'll be interesting to see what she has brought to the table. Lead-wise, I would be very surprised if the Milotic didn't come out as a lead, just to potentially grab the competitive boost straight away. Probably leading with one of her steel types, but we actually see Celesteela and Mandibuzz as a lead for my opponent here, as we lead off with Drifblim and Tapu Lele. So we do get the Psychic Terrain up, which will be very helpful for us. Does also proc the Psychic Seed on the Drifblim, giving it its Unburden boost, doubling its speed, and also that lovely special defense boost, which should be helpful in the long run. Now going from here, Tapu Lele is obviously threatened by the Celesteela and to a lesser extent the Mandibuzz, so I do actually want to switch that out straight away. And because the Lele should be faster than the Mandibuzz, if we bring in Arcanine now, if they decide to switch in Milotic, they won't be able to get the competitive boost with any luck. And this will also then put pressure onto the Celesteela, also onto the Mandibuzz slightly, but mostly we're trying to get Arcanine out as quickly as possible, because if they do have Milotic in the back, which I'm pretty sure they will, that will be a huge problem for us to deal with. So we do see our Lele switch out first, get the Arcanine in, Celesteela's attack drops, which is probably the most influential part of this. Drifblim does set up its Tailwinds, and we'll see what this Mandibuzz goes for. Snarl, in fact. So choosing to load the special attack of both the Drifblim and what was the Tapu Lele, which does make sense for our opponent, but not going to be too problematic. So we see the Celesteela go for a Toxic onto the Drifblim. Very interesting choice of move on a Celesteela to go for a Toxic rather than, say, having Leech Seed, for example, which does interest me a little bit, but it could make sense, but not really. So this turn I'm just going to go for a Will-O-Wisp into the Celesteela, and oh no, actually I reckon that the Celesteela might protect. No, we will Will-O-Wisp into the Celesteela, and I am just going to Flare Blitz into the Mandibuzz. The Celesteela may protect, but it actually withdraws, so probably into the Milotic, as we do see. So that Milotic will be burnt here, and as Will-O-Wisp does connect, which is always a good thing. So we do get the burn onto the Milotic. Arcanine does use its Flare Blitz into the Mandibuzz. Let's see how much damage this does. Around about 40%, so not too bad, but not enough to make me really... So at this moment, I actually, as you may have seen, my Drifblim knows Sunny Day. So that will lower the Milotic's water type attack power. So any scores that it may have will be weakened significantly. And I am just going to go straight for the Sunny Day here. And I am going to just continue to Flare Blitz the Mandibuzz. I don't think with the Sun Boost the Mandibuzz is going to be in range of being knocked out. I'm hopeful it will, but we'll have to see. I mean, once we get the sun up, the Milotic is relatively neutered, so that's always a good thing. We do get off the Sunny Day relatively freely. Arcanine does use its Flare Blitz. Let's see how much damage this is now doing. Not quite picking up the knockout, but does proc a berry. Is this a citrus or a... It's a 50%. Okay, so it's an Iapapa berry. Mandibuzz does show that it now has foul play, so into the Arcanine. We'll proc our own 50% berry here, so we will be taking slightly less damage than it comes out, and the Scald also, and as you can see, the sunlight proving really influential there onto the... in just reducing the damage taken from that Scald in general. So I'm going to switch Drifblim out here because it's done all it can do really. I could go for a Shadow Ball into the Milotic, but given that we've had 2 special attack drops, it's not going to be very significant. So I'm going to switch Garchomp in, and this turn I am going to... I think I need to protect here. I need to conserve the Arcanine because obviously the Celesteela's in the back, which is a big problem for me to deal with otherwise. Aside from burning it with Drifblim or even the Arcanine. But we do see the Mandibuzz switch out here for my opponent's Arcanine. So, sensible play by my opponent here. I imagine that the Milotic is still going to Scald into my Arcanine slot. But it actually opts to Toxic into the Arcanine, which I think is not a sensible play, but we'll take what we're given. So with Arcanine in, that does pose a bit of a problem. I'm not so concerned about with the Assaultivists being taken out by the Milotic itself. It's more the Arcanine that could pose a problem. If it's got a Z move, that will be a big issue for me to deal with further down the line. But we now know that all of my opponents fall Pokemon, which is going to be useful. We may see the Arcanine protect. We may or switch out into Mandibuzz. Yeah. So Arcanine's going to retreat here, bringing in the Drifblim. If we can set up another Tailwind, that will be excellent, because then we can bring in something else in the back, and we will get this free Tailwind off once again. Obviously the Earthquake not doing anything at all there. And the Psychic Terrain does drop, but that's not a huge problem. So realistically, I think I want to now go for a Rock Slide. And do I want... Yeah, I need to Tailwind again. Ideally, I want the Drifblim to go down either this turn or the following turn. The Poison should facilitate that quite nicely, but we will have to see. Obviously, Garchomp is going to be somewhat useful for dealing with the Arcanine, so we do need to still conserve that as best we can. We may need to have to get a few flinches here to just help ease ourselves into this game a little bit better, but we'll see how this goes. So my opponent withdraws the Milotic going actually into the Celesteela slots. That's fine. As Garchomp does go for the Rock Slide, so we will be getting some decent damage off onto both Pokemon. Obviously not as effective because of the Intimidate. Tailwind goes up, so we will now have the speed advantage. As we see the Mandibuzz go for a foul play into the Garchomp, but obviously where we've had the weakened attacks, it's not doing as much to us as it could be. And as you can see, I think the Poison will knock out the Drifblim on the following turn. I could decide to either Will-O-Wisp the Celesteela, or I could Shadow Ball into the Mandibuzz and try to knock it out straight away. Only got one turn of sun left. If I Will-O-Wisp the Celesteela, that wouldn't be the worst thing. But I think I need to Shadow Ball the Mandibuzz here to stand any hope of actually... I need to remove the Mandibuzz basically as a threat. So we do get the Rock Slide out. It does connect with both Pokemon, so that's always good. The Mandibuzz does just survive on a sliver of HP, but we will pick up the knockout with a Shadow Ball onto the Mandibuzz. That does remove any Tailwind pressure that our opponent could have brought to the table. Celesteela still going for the Toxic, and we actually avoid the Toxic there. So this team is playing very stallish, which is very unusual by all accounts. I'm just wondering what the Celesteela must be. Must have Heavy Slam, I would imagine, which is what I'm mostly fearing, but we will bring in the Tapu Lele here. I'm expecting to see Arcanine. No, but we see Milotic, which is actually better for us. So I'm not too concerned. I am going to just switch the Arcanine straight in for the Garchomp, and I am going to go for a Shattered Psyche into the Milotic. Obviously the Intimidate into the Celesteela will be useful if it tries to Heavy Slam my Tapu Lele. I should be able to survive with the bulk that the Lele has got. Kudos to Osiris for sort of helping me out on why the Tapu Lele is so bulky as well. But we have got the Tailwind up, so we have got the speed advantage, and we really need to take advantage of it in these few turns here to really make a difference. So Garchomp obviously retreats, Arcanine comes in. We're basically trying to get the Intimidate onto the Celesteela here, no questions asked. We should proc a competitive boost on the Milotic, we do see that. No protects, so we will get this Shattered Psyche off into the Milotic. We will pick up the knockout here. And now it's just a case of seeing how much the Celesteela actually does to our Tapu Lele with the likely Heavy Slam that it's going to use. So yeah, we do pick up the knockout there. So we do see the Heavy Slam into Lele, and as you can see, doing about 2/3 health, but that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay. How many turns of Tailwind do we have? We only have the one, which isn't ideal. And how healthy is our Garchomp? Still relatively healthy. Okay, so in this situation I am just going to I need to Flare Blitz the Celesteela here. Obviously the Intimidate is going to be annoying, but I'm going to switch in the Garchomp here in lieu of the Tapu Lele. I don't really want to protect this turn because what will probably happen is, I mean, we could see a double protect from my opponent here to stall out the last turn of Tailwind, which wouldn't be the worst idea for them to do. We don't see a protect on the Celesteela, so we will get this Flare Blitz off. Because we're intimidated, it won't do as much damage, but we also pick up a burn as well. Very useful burn there. So the Arcanine is going to go for a Flare Blitz. Where is this going? Into our Arcanine. So the Arcanine does in fact faint. Does take a little bit of recoil. Celesteela goes for the Heavy Slam. As you can see, not doing a lot of damage at all. Rough Skin giving it a bit more pain to deal with. Okay, Tailwind peters out as well. Okay, so we can bring in Tapu Lele here now. So the safest play for my opponent to make here is probably to protect the Arcanine and just Heavy Slam into the Tapu Lele. That would be the safest play. It would make the most sense. What I am therefore going to do is I am still going to protect the Tapu Lele because I need to. I am going to Earthquake on this particular turn. I do want to try and knock out the Arcanine straight away, and I believe Earthquake will be able to do that, if not get very close. We do see the Arcanine going for a Flare Blitz into the Tapu Lele. The Garchomp will get its Earthquake off, and let's see how much this does. I don't know whether we've already popped a berry on this Arcanine, but we haven't seen any, but Arcanine goes straight down, so should seal up the game for us now. It's going to be 2 versus 1. Celesteela actually opts to Leech Seed the Garchomp though, which is a good play. That does put our Garchomp now on a timer. So that was a good good covering play by my opponent there to go for that attempt. I don't know how many turns so we've got 2 turns left, so I am just going to Psychic into the Celesteela and I'm going to Rock Slide. I would imagine that this turn the Celesteela will protect to get some Leech Seed recovery. Yep. So it might have been a bit premature to claim victory there, but so it is doing about 23 points of damage, so the Celesteela's best option, I think, is actually try and Heavy Slam the Garchomp right here, rather than go for the Tapu Lele. Because if you can knock out the Garchomp, the Tapu Lele should be not an issue to deal with. It all depends how much this Psychic does to the Celesteela. It looks like it's quite bulky. The alternative is he could actually Leech Seed the Tapu Lele as well, which wouldn't be the worst situation for him to go for. As you can see, it is very bulky. We do get a special defense drop, but he does actually Leech Seed the Tapu Lele. because we are losing the psychic terrain as well. I could have taunted that turn to stop the Leech Seed, but I don't think that would. I could have taunted that turn to stop the Protect as well. That was actually a misplay on my part. Yeah, we could have actually locked up this game a lot easier. Just there and then. If we taunted the Celesteela on the turn that it wasn't going to protect, it stopped that Leech Seed play, but it also then stopped it from being able to protect in subsequent turns. I don't know how close we're going to be to being able to knock this Celesteela out. I would imagine not very close at all. That looks too close. Yeah, I think we're going to need a crit here on one of our 2 attacks, which really isn't ideal, but I don't really have much of an option. So he's gone for the double there, which does make sense, because we are at the last ticker. That looks like a crit though. That is a crit. Is this psychic going to be enough? It is enough! Oh, we got a double crit! Oh, I think we just scraped that game from the jaws of defeat. Oh dear. Well, I can only say good game to my opponent there. That is really unfortunate that a double crit happened on the very last turn, because I don't think, even with the crit on the psychic, if we didn't crit the psychic, we wouldn't have had any chance at all, I don't think. And I think critting the rock side was more important as well. If we didn't get the crit on that, even if we crit the psychic, that wouldn't have been able to pick up the knockout. So she played the end game very well indeed, and I can't fault her for that. We could have taunted on the turn that she didn't protect to stop any potential Leech Seed and stop her from protecting in the future, which would have probably meant that we could seal up the game quicker. So foresight is a beautiful thing in that regard, but with anything you have to take whatever luck does go your way in this game, because as much as you don't want to rely on the facets of luck happening with a game, you want to actually play and know your win con such that you can do it without getting lucky. Any luck that you do have, you need to take advantage of and capitalize on. So that is something that at that sort of time of the game, it's not really capitalizing, it's really deciding the outcome of a game. It's not a nice way to win, but it's never a nice way to lose either. So I do feel for my opponent there, but it does look like we're nearly at half an hour, so I am going to cut this short to just a single game for this episode. So a very long episode, very drawn out, but hopefully a good tactical battle. Obviously the ending a little bit spoiled for my opponent, but we take those and we'll have to go with it. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a comment, like, subscribe to the channel. It's all very appreciated, and I will see you back here again on Thursday for another episode of the Battle Spot Factory. But until then, I will say goodbye for now.